Eastern, 7 Central, 5 Pacific. The Armchair Quarterback Show, your first choice for Southern sports talk. Good morning, Mr. Justin Waller.
Good morning. I don't know much, but I know one thing. MLB's upcoming June 21st foreign substance suspension is a 10-game with pay suspension. What's to deter a pitcher from cheating? Yeah, he'll hurt the team by being out, but if he cared about the team, he wouldn't have cheated to start with.
Hi, I'm Mac McGinn. I don't know much, but I know one thing. It's National Megalodon Day. Yeah.
I don't even want to ask.
It means your big tooth. That's what it means. It's Big Tooth Day, baby. Get your big teeth out. You're listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks.
Mr. Garvey,
What is it, Aaron?
some of us need to leave a few minutes early today.
Oh, is that so?
Mm-hmm.
And what, pray tell, is the reason for this premature exodus?
Yearbook photos. We have to leave 15 minutes early to meet up with our clubs.
All right, you know what? That might work with other substitute teachers, but I taught in the inner city for over 20 years. Now, y'all want to leave my class early so y'all can go meet up at the club. Ain't none of y'all old enough to go to the damn club.
Armchair.
Community Access Channel.
He's the armchair quarterback. He's full of beer and he's full of snacks. The all-American man. With a cool in his head.
Hey, howdy, hi. Top of the morning to you. Welcome to the Armchair Quarterback Radio Show. Justin Waller and Mac McGee. Justin, how the hell are you, sir?
Oh, trying to figure out which one's my big tooth. Does it have a location? They all feel the same.
Well, I was trying to look it up, but the article was this long as I'm just gonna catch I was, what the hell? It's National what day? Because I usually look at this every day to see if there's anything interesting. And while we're getting ready, I was looking, it's because it's also National Smile Power Day, and National Nature Photography Day. Smile Power. I don't know about that one. That one sounds like that could be a cult, so I'm not going to follow that one. But I can see the nature photography. Okay, go outside and take a picture of your grass or something. But I was, honestly, when I first went over, I thought maybe this was going to be like a Star Wars character I'd never heard of, and I was like, "What is a Megalodon?" I don't even know if I'm pronouncing it correctly, but I was like, "What is it? We have to have a national day for this?" And they showed a picture of a shark's tooth, but they're saying it's anyone's big tooth. And I'm with you. I'm like, oh, which one's the big one? I'm assuming it's the front, but I guess we'll have to measure this later. We'll do a Facebook Live pop-up. Well, this one here I think this one's a little smaller than the other one.
This is a perfect ask your wife for help opportunity right here. Hey, honey, need your help with this.
Her first response is, "You're not going to get me to measure anything. I fell for that once."
Touche.
Okay, so we got in this mess in the first place. All right, so Bartolo Colon. That's why we got his picture up there. He's doing big things in the Mexican League. What you got?
My man is the ageless wonder, 48 and still throwing a complete game. Pretty phenomenal stat. And you got anything left? I mean, you're pretty familiar with the NL East. You come in here and mow down the Mets for us?
I mean, I'm wondering, so was there anything in the article that says whether or not he still bats or if that's a DH league? I didn't get through the whole article because I got sidetracked at work.
He did not mention.
Okay. Because I would love to see him slam one out of the building again like he did. I keep seeing the replay. Whenever you watch MLB.TV, they always do the replays of days gone by, and they'll show that Bartolo Colon hitting one out of San Diego was his first career home run. I'm thinking it's close to 10 years ago now, but I remember it like it was yesterday because maybe it hasn't been that long ago because maybe we were doing the show at that point. I can't remember, but I do know it happened in San Diego, and it's around 10-ish years ago. they show that constantly. But man, I miss Bartolo Colon. I liked old Bartolo, even when he pitched with the Mets. I liked old Bartolo, man.
My favorite thing about him is the big boy would crank up the diesel and run out a single. And I mean, you can't get a lot of superstars to do that every single play, but you could get a pitcher to do it. And that's a lost art. And, I've always been a fan of the big boys. And Bartolo's still plugging along at 48. There's hope for all of us. So I like it. And man, it's going to be, and it made me think of something. We've got to do this when the DH becomes universal and we will no longer see pitchers hitting. There's got to be a Mount Rushmore of greatest pitcher at bats or home runs. We have got to walk those off when we lose that part of history.
Yeah, I'd say his is definitely going to be in the conversation. Then how many did Mad Bum have?
I was going to say Mad Bum's going to have some. I mean, there's going to be some select Braves ones for us, I'm sure, peppered in there.
Mad Bum, I want to see him bat flip somebody. Go get it. Go get it in the ocean. I want to see Max Muncy on the hill in a blowout game pitching against Mad Bum. That's what I want to see. Can I get that one time in my life before it's all said and done? I want to see something too about Bartolo Colon, because someone threw a stat up the other day, and I forget who it was, but it was someone that you would say could possibly be a Hall of Famer. And whatever the stat was, it was comparable to Bartolo Colon, because they said, and the other pitcher to do it was Bartolo Colon. And I'm looking at his stats right now. So he has a 45.8 WAR, which is pretty darn good. He had a 4.12 ERA. That's not great, but he did have 247 wins. I don't think he'll get in, but do you think that he'll get enough votes when he comes up for the Hall of Fame to at least get past the first round? What do you need? 5%, yes. I believe. His last game in the major leagues was in 2018. So his Hall of Fame candidacy will be coming up in a couple of years. I'd like to see him at least stay on the ballot for a little while, just for people to talk about him, if nothing else. Fat boy can pitch, man. Fat boy can get it done.
Yeah, and I mean, everybody's got to remember his Cy Young was an American League. They face an extra batter all year long. So that's a little bit
good Cleveland teams too.
Yeah, I think that was out with the Angels, wasn't he, when he had the Cy Young, I believe?
Possibly. I know he's got a couple of Cy Youngs. Does he have, or does he just have the one Cy Young? Okay, for some reason I thought he had a couple, but he has. Looks like 4 or 5 years where he finished in the top 6 in voting.
4-time All-Star, I believe. So yes, he did have those.
I always felt like that he was extremely underrated on those Cleveland teams in the early 2000s, late 90s, and then because he started to put it together, and then he went to the Angels shortly after. I think the Angels was like a big free agent deal is what he went on. And he was not on the team for the Angels that went to the World Series, but he would have been on the Cleveland team that went to the World Series in 97 that lost to the Marlins. So he's been in at least one World Series. It's also showing he was with Boston. I don't even remember him being with the Red Sox. I guess he was there in 08, so he just would have missed a World Series nod there, and a couple other teams. He would have been on the Mets team that went to the World Series too. So that's 2 World Series teams he was on, at least. Anyways, this isn't the Bartolo Colon hour. We just found it interesting to see that fat kid is 48 years old and he's out there. What jumped out at me, I had it written down. I don't know what I did with it. He has like a 3.46 ERA. And I get it that it's in the Mexican League, but still. It's professional baseball, and he's got an ERA under 4.
90 pitches, 70 strikes, walked 1, struck out 7 in a 6-2 complete game.
Would they take on his salary if we sent Drew Smiley to the Mexican League for Bartolo Colon?
How big's the stadium?
I mean,
we got to think about ticket sales here, man. Now you got to fill a lot of seats for that.
We're going to say, look here, man. If you trade this Bartolo Colon, you take on a salary, already you're saving money on food. Okay, if you've seen Drew Smiley, he's a stick, so you can off the cut. I'm thinking you're saving $2 or $3 grand a week just on food at least. Yeah, that's let's see if we can get that in motion.
Plus, you only need one ticket to travel.
Exactly.
You have to pay for two.
Drew Smiley pitches like 5 innings the other day, gives up only 2 runs, and we're ready to throw a parade for the guy that he was our first free agent signing this year. It's like, Mets won again last night. I was hoping the damn Cubs would get him. Peterson was on it. David Peterson takes them out, and he looks like the freaking second coming of Cy Young with 6 innings, no earned runs. I thought for sure the Cubs were going to get to him. Cubs are just so disappointing. They don't win when you want them to win. They win when you don't want them to win. They're just the Cubs. Get out there and get a W, because they've got to face DeGrom, I think, on Wednesday. So they better get a W tonight. I don't know much, but I know one thing: you better get it locked in. That dude's got a .56 ERA, by the way. Just I looked at it last night. So what's his ERA? What the hell, man? How low can you get an ERA after you've given up runs? I want to see that. There's a very good chance he's going to break Bob Gibson's, what was that, 1968? There's a very good chance. If you think about it, so he's at 50.56. That's less than half the all-time record for a starting pitcher with enough innings, et cetera, was in the modern era, was Bob Gibson at 1.12 ERA. I mean, he's going to have to get clubbed a couple of times to get up to 1.12.
He's going to have to be using foreign substance and fall off on the 21st and quit using it and just get slapped.
Wouldn't that be, dude? By the way, speaking of that, in one of our leagues, I don't know if you're in this league or not, but not really the point. Listen to this trade that went down last night. So our fantasy baseball guru, I'm trying to figure out which league this was in. It was either in the it wasn't in our dynasty league. It was either here it is. It was in the YouTube Snake League, which I don't know if you're in that league or not.
I don't believe I am.
I think we already had you in 35 leagues and you were like on vacation. I was like, how about we let Justin sleep one night? So this is the one that's got majority of the people involved in either listening to the show, something. There's some reason that they've got a connection in this league. But Steven's supposed to be our fantasy baseball guru, trades to one of our listeners, Michael, Garrett Cole and Yu Darvish. Now you say, what the hell are you getting back for Garrett Cole and Yu Darvish? Well, I saw this pop up because I have to accept it, right, to make sure that it's nothing phony. He gives up, or he gets back Zach Wheeler, which is great, right? And Blake Snell. And look, name alone, Blake Snell is great. He's got a 4.97 ERA with a 1.47 WHIP this year.
Yeah,
so I'm
his life on the line for him, man.
I mean, know what I'm saying?
he's out there putting his life out there for us.
I'm not trading Garrett Cole and Yu Darvish, know what I'm saying?
And the Garrett Cole, I could kind of see the way that he's falling off, but you still you got to ride that out. You got to think that he overcomes yeah.
I think he's overreacting to the couple of tough outings that he had. But look, he was in Minnesota last week and went 6 innings, 9 Ks, no earned runs. No, I'm sorry, 2 earned runs. Regardless, quality start. He's going to play Toronto tomorrow, so I guess we'll find out if the wheels have fallen off. Garrett Cole's too talented for it just to all go away. People act like he wasn't any good. I saw a New York talk show talking about this the other day about how when he was in Pittsburgh, he wasn't that good, and he got to Houston, and same thing with Justin Verlander. The Justin Verlander one's fair. Verlander went from Detroit to Houston, and all of a sudden was a second coming, right? But Garrett Cole was always good in Pittsburgh. He just wasn't well known because he was in Pittsburgh. We would go to Pittsburgh, and I would be like, just don't be facing that Cole dude. I don't know what's up with that guy, but we can't hit him.
Are the Astros behind this one too?
I don't know, but I'm not trading Garrett Cole and Yu Darvish. I'm just not doing it. That's just, I mean, that's a mega trade. And look, they're all four big names, but I think the caveat here is, as good as Zach Wheeler is, Blake Snell has not lived up to expectations. This isn't a keeper league. This isn't like, okay, I'm banking on the fact that Snell and Wheeler are younger than Cole and this is a this year league only. This is dumb. We'll see if I'm wrong, but I just think this is incredibly dumb. I saw it and I was like, wait a minute, let me look at the standings, make sure one team's not just tanking for the other, right? No, one team's in first, the other team's in third. So it's got none of that going on. I was like, good Lord. All right, whatever, dude. We'll see what happens.
He's just trying to help him get to second.
That's our fantasy guru. Well, the thing is, he reads. I always tell him, and we go back and forth on this with him, Sean and I, is that all they read is the stats, and all I do is watch the games. And there's probably needs to be a healthy balance between the two. But it's a tug of war with this constantly. Like, did you watch the game the other night? No, but the stats say, I was like, I don't care what the stats say. The guy was blowing the ball right by him, right? Anyways, I just find it very, very interesting that you would trade Yu Darvish and Garrett Cole when you're number one. He's ranked number one in the league. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, he doesn't have the most points, but still, he's number one in the league.
I'm assuming this is a pitcher dominant as most of our leagues.
It's the same scoring. Yeah.
Yeah.
Same scoring system.
I'd write out the Cole, but that's just me. The Darvish, Darvish Wheeler, I'm good with that.
I mean, you basically made a trade for a guy who's not even the best pitcher on his own team because you traded away Yu Darvish. He's got a two. By the way, I looked at his stats. I don't have him in any league, and I was like, well, how's Yu Darvish been doing? He's got a 2.28 ERA. He's averaging like 10 point something Ks per nine. I didn't know if he went out there and fell off a truck or something and just, couldn't find it. Anyways, we'll move on for that. NHL playoffs last night, the first game played in on American soil by a Canadian team in over 15 months. And I think they were shell shocked, don't you?
Yeah, I thought about my skin in the game when I saw that crowd, and I neglected to remember that they have been in quiet stadiums for 2 years. So I think they were a little shell shocked, and boy, did it show.
I mean, wow. And then you got another big game tonight. First of all, I think we're also going to find out in that series, and just like we'll find out in the series tonight, but we're going to find out a lot about these teams because there wasn't any crossover play with the Canadian teams and the American teams. So we're going to find out, was there even a Canadian team worth a damn? I still think they need to go to those divisions though, because I think it's good to have a Canadian team in the finals, the conference finals.
I'm glad to see it. I mean, I would like to see it in the actual cup final, just because, man, I think it's been 20 something years. It's been a minute since
I'd like to see
happened.
it too. I'd like to see it too, because maybe we'd get a playoff game. And I'm talking about hockey and basketball. Maybe we get a playoff game that starts before 8:30 at night, right? It's like, God, come on, let's get this going. What are we waiting around on? Last year it was an overcorrection. We were playing games at 3:00 in the afternoon. Like, doesn't feel like a playoff game, man. It's Tuesday and the sun's still up, and I'm watching, the finals over here. And then this year it's like, well, we'll just play till we'll play well past midnight. Why not?
At least they put it away early.
Some news that came out. Okay, first of all, Rays fans, we got a tough one. Glasnow came out of the fourth, and he's tugging on his arm. They're going to do an MRI. We're going to find out. But the first worries that you're going to hear the name Dr. James Andrews in the next sentence that the Rays release out. And so see what happens there. It's a shame because the Rays are playing great baseball and going toe-to-toe over the monsters of New York and Boston. I still think they got enough talent that it's not going to derail them, so to speak, but it's going to be a lot tougher to win the division without Glasnow. And what was the other one I had jotted down? Acuna, side tightness. They are expecting him to play today. He's leading the All-Star voting in the National League, although we're not going to cover it because to hell with that whole Colorado crap. But I still like to see Acuna get the top votes because you can only benefit him down the road. And he seems like a good kid. They are saying that the 12-team playoff, that committee, I think they start actually adjourning today. I think they flew in last night, kind of thing. We'll have to try to do some belly up the bar on Friday because I've got a list of things that I want to throw at you. So we'll do that on Friday. But as far as this thing goes, in your heart of hearts, do you think something gets figured out as early as this week, or do you think this is going to drag on for a couple of years?
I mean, I think they'll just influx it and change it. I think you'll see it sooner rather than later. I think the NCAA needs it. They lost a lot of income and revenue the past 2 seasons, and I think it's a big monetary incentive for them to go ahead and change. I know they're contracted out with the playoffs through what? I mean, it's got another 4 or 5 years, doesn't it, left on its contract in the current?
I believe so. I want to say when they signed it, it seems like 2025 is like ringing a bell, but yeah, you can't, if you're going to do this, you can't wait till the end of that contract. That would just be ridiculous.
I was gonna say right now they have a need for money. They got a lot of programs that would probably sign up that maybe in the past hadn't, that, probably need some of the revenue sharing. So I think you'll see some teams and some programs sign up that I think would have been long time resistors of this had it been brought up 2019 or before.
I would think, considering the landscape when they signed that original contract with the ESPNs, Disney's, all that, Fox, all of them, I would think there was someone smart enough in the room to have something in there that says, if we expand the playoffs, you still have the rights as long as you meet some kind of demand monetarily, right? So then that way there's not this big tug of war of ESPN won't let you out of your contract and you want to go to, we'll just say CBS, and you would think someone has that in, because they had to, when they wrote that down, are we still gonna have a 14 playoff in 2025, 2026, whatever it is? You would think it's written in there, wouldn't you?
Oh yeah, there's definitely some sort of clause to get out. Now who pays the money to get out of it will be what they argue over.
If not, I'm going to assume that if they didn't do it, then I'm going to assume that your lawyer was Rob Manfred and he was just an idiot and didn't put the damn thing in. What? It's just a piece of metal. We don't need.
Do you see any deterrent on his new ban that supposedly is going to go in effect the 21st, the 10-game foreign stops and span? But it's with pay. I mean, what?
Well, okay. I think the reason why is because to get it without pay, they would have to go through the players' union. So it's too much of a hassle, and he's trying to get a CBA agreed to it. So I think that's why he's doing the with pay. But it will get some deterrent because your teammates are going to get pissed. Who it's not going to deter though is that guy who's the free agent on a loser that was like, dude, I'm trying to get my pay on this offseason. I'm pitching for whoever. I won't pick on one team in particular, but we'll just say a team that's like muddling around there in last place and they have no shot and he's going to be a free agent. Why wouldn't he try it?
Yeah. But a starting pitcher, if you're creative, I mean, a 10-game suspension, you can make that be only one game missed. If you're creative and you work it out correctly, you're not penalizing your team more than one. Now, reliever, absolutely. Your 10-game suspension's absolutely crushing. You can't do that. So I mean, maybe it cleans up the bullpen in the back half.
The other thing, as we pull up the picks on the Skin on the Game, I would also like to see that there's none of this. I'm going to go and appeal it and drag that out for 7 days, right? If it's you, or if you're busted, you're busted. If they're going to appeal it, do it the next morning over Zoom. Get your head out of your ass, MLB, and let's go. That's one of my biggest issues with Major League Baseball suspensions, is that they'll drag them out for like 3 weeks because you won't get a ruling for almost a week, and then so a 10-game suspension that drops in June 15th could still be relevant in middle of July. That's Anyways, skin in the game. Where are you going today?
I'm actually going to go Milwaukee at home against Cincinnati. It's Castillo versus Anderson, but I'm going to ride Milwaukee right now. And we'll see if they can't put an end to that skid of or that 4-game streak of Cincinnati's.
I'm going to put the hoodoo on the Atlanta Braves and take them. They're only minus 109. And they're at home. Tucker Davidson's 1.53 ERA. He's probably going to get bent a little bit. He's playing the Red Sox. But Erod has got a 6 ERA. He's on the road. He hasn't pitched well. So that means he'll go a complete game shutout tonight. But he's just a guy who's got a 6.03 ERA. I don't understand why he's favored over a kid who's, I mean, it's enough of a sample size to say he's pretty good. So I'm going to take the Braves to get a W. Start a winning streak. What's your walk-off for the day, sir?
I like that, especially after the way they rocked it off last night with the walk-off against Toronto. So emotional game for the Red Sox. Maybe that can turn into a W for Atlanta. So have a good week, sir. I'll talk to you Friday.
Yes, sir. We'll be bellying up Friday too, and I'll send you the football team. I think you'll like this one this week.
Nice.
All right, we're going to be back in a flash when we come back. Bobby's with us. We're going to be talking about the LA Rams and the NBA playoffs. We'll be back in just a quick break.
New Year's resolutions. We've all made them. Mine is the same every year. Eat healthier. The eat part usually works out fine. It's the healthier part I forget about. But not anymore, now that I've found the oh-so-chocolatey Built Bar. Built Bars are low-cal, low-sugar, high-protein, high-fiber. Great for keto. Lose or maintain weight while indulging in a yummy treat. At 130 calories, you'll feel like making a resolution every day. Try all 18 amazing flavors. Get yours at BuiltBar.com.
The Armchair Quarterback's on YouTube Live. We're covering the NBA playoffs until we have a winner. Subscribe and like us today. Your first choice for sports talk live from the First Coast.
Hey, Jacksonville, winter is the perfect time to start planning for your healthy, pest-free spring lawn with True Green, America's #1 lawn care company. True Green's science-based approach and local expertise will help give your lawn the year-round care it needs to be thick and weed-free. Go to truegreen.com/radio to save 50% on your first service. Just call 866-946-5956 or go to truegreen.com/radio today and get a lawn to be proud of.
Welcome to the jungle. Jim Rome on the air, noon to 3 Eastern, only on CBS Sports Radio.
To protect his family from disaster, Steve used his camera phone.
Done.
By taking pictures of his important documents, Steve can always have them stored online. Learn more simple disaster prep tips at ready.gov. A message from FEMA and the Ad Council.
Do you want to lose 18 pounds fast and improve your health? Now you can lose up to 18 pounds in your first 2 months with Nutrisystem. Get delicious breakfasts, lunches, dinners, even snacks and shakes delivered safely to your door. All delivered for free. It's easy to follow, and you'll see results in your first week. Just text BURN to 323232. You'll get your favorite foods made healthier and perfectly balanced to put your body in fat burning mode. Text BURN to 323232 right now and get 50% off a month of meals and shakes. That's right, 50% off a month of meals and 50% off a month of shakes with probiotics to help support your immune system. Just text BURN to 323232 right now. There's even a money-back guarantee. Millions of people have lost weight with Nutrisystem, and you can too. Lose up to 18 pounds in your first 2 months. Just text BURN to 323232. That's BURN to 323232.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop to opt out.
Chinatown urinal. I'm forever unclean. Don't laugh. I didn't piss on my hand. Oh, Chinese man piss.
Cause the stars and stripes are so much more than that old piece of cloth on your grandma's porch. You gave us that American dream to be anything that we want to be.
Good morning. Welcome back here to CBS Sports Radio. Listening to a little West Cook band here. And Bobby, how the hell are you, Bobby?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Now that there's a chance that the Nets get knocked out of the playoffs too. I'm like, man, I'm on cloud 9. We get rid of LeBron. We might be getting rid of Kyrie. Then we can just have a good old fashioned let the best team win, and I don't have to like pull hard against another team. I kind of hate pulling against a team. It feels unnatural to just pull against them because you don't like a player. But that's where I'm at in the NBA. I want anyone but the Nets. If the Nets can get knocked out, then I'll be excited to watch. I'll tell you what, I think the 76ers in trouble. I think they're in big trouble. The Hawks might
I think so too.
The Hawks might be this year's version of the 2020 Miami Heat. Because they're getting hot at all the right times. They're having, of course, Trae Young is just incredible player to watch. If you haven't watched that series, you're really missing out. And man, Embiid went 0 for 12 in the second half.
Yeah.
It makes me think that knee isn't 100%. Because
I mean, he's been throughout the playoffs this year. He's been playing fine on that meniscus. But yeah, last night
there's something
back into that game wasn't good. What's up?
Well, it just makes you wonder if there's something there, because obviously they're not going to tell you if he's hurt worse than what he is, because they don't want it to be a known thing, right? You're trying to slide that under the radar. But for Embiid to go 0 for 12, if your legs are hurting in any sport, it's going to affect you. And you know, if you have a banged up elbow or whatever, you can get through that. But your legs, if your legs are, you're feeling it every single step of the way, and it wears on you. It wears you down mentally, which in turn is going to wear you down physically. And I just think he's exhausted. And for them to pull it off, I think someone else is going to have to step up and do better things, because Embiid can be there for him, but I don't think he can be expected to carry them. And this is going to be a tough series. If they let it get back to Atlanta 3-2 Hawks advantage, it could be Katie bar the door, because and I, for one, am pulling for Atlanta because I would just like to see new blood in there. It would be fun to see someone different. And being a Celtics fan, you would think I would be pulling against the Sixers. I don't really have that kind of hate for the Sixers, because my entire lifetime they haven't been that good, so it hasn't been that much of a rivalry. When they have been good, Boston tends to suck, so it's never really been like this big rivalry since like the early 80s. So I'm not pulling against them for that. I'm pulling for Atlanta. The Milwaukee series, though, tonight, and I'm going to say this and tell me where I'm wrong. If the Bucks lose tonight, it's all on the Greek Freak, and he can't complain about, well, I don't have enough players, I need more talent, blah, blah, blah. It is mano a mano tonight. It's you versus KD, and your supporting cast is greater than KD. There's no excuses to, I know it's on the road, but there's no excuses not to win this game tonight. What say you?
I can agree with that to a sense. I don't. It's, if a guy like Chris Middleton, has a prominent role in the offense, if he has a bad game and he shoots terribly from the floor, like 20%, I wouldn't think it's fair to put all the blame on Giannis in that sense. But if Middleton has a good night, Drew Holiday as well, then I don't see why it'd be anybody else's fault other than Giannis. I mean, he's the guy, so they're going to need him to be big if they want to beat the Nets. And it shouldn't be hard because, Kyrie and Harden are now out, and they're probably out for the next game as well, if I had to guess. So
if you want to prove that those MVPs were real, there's two MVPs that he just won before the Jokers.
Yeah.
Then this is what it's about. That Supermax deal they gave him, this is what it's about. You have to go into enemy territory and get the W, especially when you have the much better team on the floor. And there's no excuse other than him like breaking his ankle in the shower pregame for the Bucks not to go out and win tonight. If they lose tonight, it is all on him. Because if the Nets can win and force a game 7, essentially, because that's all you're trying to do if you're the Nets. Because if you hold serve at home court and you finish and you get to a game 7. What is today? Today's Tuesday.
Yes.
Game 6 is Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Game 7 is set for Saturday night. If you can get to a game 7, that gives Kyrie 4 days to get ready.
Harden too, maybe.
Harden too, maybe. I don't
Maybe.
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how his hamstring's holding up.
Jeez, I mean,
Yeah.
he's made of glass. I mean,
they've got bit by the injury bug bad this year. The Nets have.
There's a difference between the injury bug and just plain old soft. And I'm sorry, but these guys.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I come from a different era, and I know you weren't alive to see him. Michael Jordan would not have missed a playoff game because of a hamstring injury. I'm just telling you.
Mm-hmm.
Larry Bird would not have missed a playoff game. Magic Johnson would not have missed a playoff game because of hamstring injuries. First of all, it's got something to do with the fact you didn't stretch, right? Because that's what hamstring injuries come from.
Mm-hmm.
But even if they did, I remember Isaiah Thomas having the game of his life with
a broken ankle, right? Or a sprained ankle.
Severely sprained ankle. It was a high ankle sprain.
Yep.
Which you can have. And he had the game of his life. I remember that game like it was yesterday. It was over 30 years ago, but I feel like it was yesterday in the NBA Finals. And that's the kind of mental toughness that the players today don't have. There's probably still a few, but all in all, they don't value the championships the way those guys did. And it's ridiculous because if you're ever going to kick the door in and win a championship, this year's the year because LeBron's not in your way. LeBron's bye-bye.
Mm-hmm.
I found it weird.
Yeah.
Did you see LeBron tweet out basically no, like that kind of thing, like
with the Kyrie injury?
Yeah, Kyrie got injured.
Yeah.
I was like, is he doing this in jest or is he actually pulling for Kyrie? Because the two,
maybe he's trying to do a recruiting scheme. Who knows?
I don't know.
Thinking ahead.
Yeah, maybe. I know. That's a good point. He's locked up for one more year, but yeah, maybe LeBron's team. I'll just go play. It's going to be too easy. I'll go play with the Nets for $1 million a year and go get my couple more championships and be the king of New York.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, if that happens. Yeah. Oh, if that happens, everyone's going to.
That would be wild.
Nobody's going to watch the NBA. They're going to be like, it's over. You had LeBron James to the Brooklyn Nets. It's over.
That would probably be the best team in NBA history. I think that'd be pretty safe to say.
They still
wouldn't be a bad bet.
They still wouldn't beat the 86 Celtics. They wouldn't beat the Lakers of the 80s. They wouldn't beat the Bulls because even with all that talent, they wouldn't play defense and they wouldn't man up, and a hamstring injury would keep them out of the game. I'm just telling you, man, they're soft nowadays.
Yeah, defense would be a pretty weak point of that team, but they'd still be. They have a lot of firepower on offense and a lot of playmakers. It'd be fun to watch. But that realistically, it would never happen. I mean, LeBron's probably going to retire in LA. So.
I think he is. I think he's going to try to bring someone to him, but it wouldn't shock me for him to cop out and just go play with the Nets. Or maybe he waits until Kyrie leaves, because I don't think they're going to re-sign Kyrie when he becomes a free agent. And the reason why is, look, we see him play well in the playoffs, but if you follow this thing during the regular season, it is such a headache to keep up with that guy, to put up with that guy. And if they have Harden and they have KD, they don't need Kyrie. They can spend that money on a different superstar, on a third one. And if it's me and I own the Nets, I'm not bringing Kyrie back in any way, shape, or form.
They would need to fill that hole at point guard, because they wouldn't want to have like Chris Chiozza. As much as I love Chiozza, they wouldn't want to have him running the one every game.
You could put Rondo out there to play point guard, and then you bring in another superstar. You don't need a mega point guard. You don't need a Chris Paul per se to go play for you, although that would be a good addition as well. But you don't need a Chris Paul per se to run your point when you have KD, Harden, and then whoever that third, what if it's the Greek Freak or something, like whoever you decide to put in there. Let's go ahead and get into the Los Angeles Rams for the 2021 season, as they are starting the regular season off. This surprised me a little bit, but it is an entertaining first Sunday night game. The Rams are going to be at home against the Chicago Bears. And a little surprised by it because Chicago, not that good. But I think it's being pumped up because of Justin Fields. They expect him to take the ball. And I also believe they want the city of Los Angeles on display for the kickoff. But I was a little surprised when the schedule came out. I'm not going to lie. You knew you were going to get the Bucks on the Thursday night game because that's what they always do. But Bears on a Sunday night game to kick it all off. I guess it's better to do it at the beginning of the season than do it midway through the season when they're, 2-5 once again. Like, oh God, we can't flex this game. Okay, so you got the Rams at home, all their additions. Of course, the big one is the quarterback, Stafford. I definitely have the Rams winning this game.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you. I think the Rams will win pretty handily. I like the Bears defense this year. They typically do have a good defense, but I'm still going with the Rams. Their offensive firepower is going to be too much for them.
Then they go to Indianapolis. It's a 1:00 kickoff. It is an early kickoff, so you have to take that into the fold when you play a Sunday night game, and the next week you're on the road for an early kickoff as a West Coast team that does have a little bit of a I'm not going to say it's crippling, but it makes it tough. So they're at the Colts. What do you got? Win or loss?
I'm going to still say a win regardless of the time zone difference. I think the Rams are significantly better, and I just don't trust Carson Wentz to get it done against that Rams defense.
That's what I'm at too. It wouldn't shock me if the Colts won, but I believe that the Rams are the better team. And if they come out and firing on all cylinders, can Carson Wentz keep up? Right. And now look, if they're sleepwalking, I give him a better chance to be sleepwalking on an early game later in the season than the second week of the season. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt and give them the W. Then they come home and they're up against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. What say you?
I'm going to give the Rams their first loss of the season right here, week 3 against the Bucks. I think it'll be a close game. I think the Bucks defense will do a good job limiting the Rams offense, and I think it'll be a close game, but the Bucks will win.
I think Tom Brady will do Tom Brady type things and not play very well at the beginning of the season, and the Rams get the W. It is a 4:25 game. It's supposed to be the national game of the week. Should be a lot of fun. The next week, they're at home against your boys, the Arizona Cardinals. What you got?
I hate to predict against them, but I do have the Rams winning this game, as I do the next matchup this year against the Cardinals. But yeah, I think the Rams, they're better on both sides of the ball, and I think they'll win.
They go to Seattle for a Thursday night game, and then they go to the New York Giants for an early kickoff, but there is a 10-day or 11-day break in between the two.
I think that's a win for the Rams on both games. I think they moved to, I believe that's 5-1 in both those games. I think they're significantly better than either one of them. And the Rams defensive line versus the Seahawks offensive line is going to be a fun matchup. I think the Rams are going to be getting after Russ a lot.
So I've got the Rams also at 5-1, but they get their first loss October 7th in Seattle. That's going to be a tough thing to ask a team to play 2 games in their own division, one on the second one on the road within a 4-day span. So I think that's where they get the loss, and then they'll come rejuvenated and beat the Giants. Look, the Giants are never a gimme in New York or Jersey, however you want to look at it. That's always a tough road, especially an early kickoff for an opposing team. But I do think that they have enough talent to get through that. So then they get a little bit of an easy road here. They're at home against Detroit. They're at the Texans back-to-back weeks. What say you?
Yeah, I think they pretty easily win both of these games against the Lions and Texans. I mean, there's not much to say about these matchups. They're probably going to be the two worst teams in the league. So I think the Rams will pick up wins in both those.
Sunday night, November 7th, NBC. The Tennessee Titans come calling to Los Angeles. It should be one of the most fun Sunday night games there is this year. What say you?
I think this will be a very good game. I'm gonna say the Titans on this one. I think the Rams are gonna drop this game. I think as great as Jalen Ramsey is, he can't cover two receivers at once. AJ Brown and Julio are gonna be too much for the Rams, and I think the Titans will etch out a close win.
Okay, I've got them beating the Titans. I just think it'll be really difficult. Until I see that the Tennessee Titans defense has changed dramatically, a game like this, I've got to give to the Rams. At San Francisco the next night, then the next week on Monday Night Football. What say you?
I think they lose to the 49ers. I think they'll probably split this series with them. And then I think they'll go into Green Bay and beat the Packers with or without Aaron Rodgers.
Okay, so we're jumping ahead to that. So at San Francisco, it's going to be a tough game. A lot will have to do with who's the quarterback. Has Garoppolo stayed healthy, et cetera, et cetera. I'm going to give the 49ers the benefit of the doubt just because it's in San Fran and all the law of averages too. Because right now only had the Packers with one loss on the season at this. The Rams one loss on the season. So I give them the second loss. They go to Green Bay. It's looking more and more like Aaron Rodgers will be in Green Bay, but whether or not he'll be wearing a uniform is up for debate. What say you?
It's honestly so hard to track. I know he hasn't shown up for camp yet, and I'm not sure if he will. He's been very quiet, and but by the time now you'll see if players they'll be kind of outgoing on whether or not they're going to hold out or not. Rodgers has been radio silent. I mean, he hasn't said a thing about this. So I don't know where the situation will head, but regardless whether they have Rodgers or not, I think the Rams will win that game.
Okay, and then at home against Jacksonville, I think that's a W. That's got to be a W.
Yeah.
Right? All right. Yeah. There's no debate there. At Arizona and at home against Seattle.
All right, I think they'll win both of these games as well. I think they'll sweep both the Cardinals and the Seahawks. I think, and then by this time, I think they'll have either the 1 or 2 seed clinched. These games may not
in week 14.
It will not the Cardinals game, but after like maybe the Seahawks game, maybe. I don't know. We'll see.
3 weeks to go, and then no, there's no way.
No, not the Cardinals game. They won't have this 1 or 2 seed clinched by then. I think they'll have a playoff spot secured, but not clinched. But they won't have a.
They'll have it essentially. They'll probably essentially have it secured, like whether or not whether or not they're actually in there. They'll
be in the driver's seat.
It'll take a miracle to get them out of there. I figure that they're going to drop one of them. I think they'll win the other. Most likely they'll lose the Cardinals game and they'll beat Seattle.
Okay.
And then the final 3 games at Minnesota, at Baltimore, and then at home against the San Francisco 49ers. How do you see it?
Yeah, I think they'll lose to the Vikings, or I think they'll beat the Vikings. I'm sorry. I think they'll go into Minnesota, win that game. That's where they clinch. I'm sorry, I misspoke. I think by then they'll have either clinched or it'll be very unlikely to knock them off, as you said. I think they'll take that. Then they go into Baltimore. I think that game won't have as high stakes for them as it will the Ravens. I think the Ravens will pull that one out, giving the Rams their 3rd loss of the season, or their 4th loss. Sorry, their 4th loss of the season. And then to wrap up the year, I think they'll beat the 49ers at home.
Okay, so all in all, how many losses do you have them at?
4. They'll finish 13-4.
Whoa, 13-4.
So
you've got them basically as the number 1 seed in the playoffs.
Yes.
That would be. I've got them at 12-5. I just figure law of averages. It's a long road, and you got to look at injuries, all that kind of stuff, and see what do they have here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So they have 9 road games this year, whereas other teams will have 8. So that means next year it'll flip flop. But that's a big deal to have an extra game, and the extra game's on the road. So, and then a game like the San Francisco game at the end of the season, if they already have it clinched, are they going to play any of their starters, right? And so those are games like that I think at Minnesota is such a big question mark for me. Are they going to be more like they were last year, or are they going to be the version that we saw in 2019 that was a legitimate threat to get to the Super Bowl? They essentially have all their talent in place except for Diggs from 2019. Their main stars are still there, so that's going to be a tough game. It's on the road. It's a 1:00 kickoff. Those are the type of games. It's the day after Christmas. Those are the type of games that a Rams team could lose. And at Baltimore, I just think that'll be a really physical game that Baltimore will probably win, because I'm banking on the fact January 2nd, Baltimore, Maryland, 4:25 is the sun's like barely creeping over the stadium. It's going to be colder than hell and probably snowing. So those are the type of games that the California kids normally don't do well in. As we go to wrap this up, NBA playoffs, are you more locked into one series than the other, or are you just kind of trying to keep up with all of them? Is there a season you're like, I've got to see every single game?
I'm trying to keep tabs on all of them, really. I think the Bucks Nets series is going to be very interesting. I think both the series in the East. I'm pulling for the Hawks. I want to see them win. I do like Trae Young. I'd like to see the Hawks come out of that series on top. And it would be fun to see. It'd be a little bit of a surprise to see the Nets go out in the second round, even with injuries, but I would like to see the Bucks win. So I think both the series in the East are fun to watch.
Yeah, so the team I'm pulling for is having such an easy road. I haven't even got to watch much of it, is the Suns. I'm pulling for the Suns.
Yeah.
I'm pulling for Chris Paul is what I'm pulling for. And I'm excited to see who they get. I'll tell you what I don't know what it is about these Clippers. They play better when their backs are against the wall this year, which is totally different than what they were last year. And look, Kawhi did Kawhi type things last night. It's now a 3-game series, and I don't think it's a foregone conclusion that Utah is going to win it. I think it's going to be a dogfight. I do expect Utah to win it because I believe in Donovan Mitchell and company. And I think the biggest thing is playoff P, or whatever the hell he calls himself. He doesn't show up in big moments. It's like Kawhi's a one-man band. That'll be the guy that goes to the Nets. That'll be it'll be a wrap. It'll be over. But you put Kawhi in Brooklyn, forget about it. But
I think he has a player option this offseason.
He does, but I don't know how they could work it where he could be in Brooklyn this coming year. He might have to wait.
Yeah.
I
don't think he'd end up in Brooklyn. I think that's a bit unrealistic.
He might just switch lockers and go over to the Lakers and say, screw this. I tried to fight it, but I'm going to go play with LeBron because playoff P is playoff puke. Let's go ahead and turn back time and do our walk-offs. On this date in 1928, this is something you don't see anymore in the world of sports. And it's one of the most exciting plays in the world of sports that we get robbed from because the game has changed so much. Ty Cobb, in 1928 on this date, stole home. He did so for the 54th time in his career. Can you imagine 54 times stealing home from any player in today's game? It just wouldn't happen. And I really think it's something that players really ought to think about, is getting back to the art of the stolen base. Because one of the easiest things to do on the stolen base is to steal home against a left-handed pitcher if they're not expecting it. Because they kind of get their head up their ass. They don't really, they'll go through the motions, but they don't really expect you to go darting into home plate. He would have been, let me do the math real quick. He would have been 42 years old when he stole home for the 54th time. That is unbelievable. People underrate how good Ty Cobb was, mainly because he was a racist ass, but they never put him up as high as they should, because they always look at the power numbers, because all the analytical dorks look at the power numbers today. Dude, that guy was an all-timer, highest batting average in the history of Major League Baseball, and he does not get the people talk more about Babe Ruth. By the way, the two of them hated each other, absolutely hated each other. But as far as I know, everybody hated Ty Cobb back then. Like he's a guy that would go spikes high into second if his mom was trying to turn the double play. He didn't care. Birthdays. There we go. Jeez. All right. We'll go with alive people today. Sometimes I like to go with the dead people. Happy birthday, guy. Today is kind of a rough one, but Tim Lincecum, do you remember him?
I don't.
So it's crazy that he's already out of the game. He's 37 years old. In the early part of this decade, he was one of the best pitchers in Major League Baseball. And Derek Anderson, do you remember the quarterback Derek Anderson played for the Panthers?
Yeah, I do. And I remember, I think he started a game against us, and I think he torched us.
38 years old today. It seems like he would be much older because you haven't seen him in forever. Like, whatever the hell happened to this guy? We'll throw one more out at you. The biggest ass in sports, Tony Clark, who is the leader of the Major League Baseball Players Association, was a so-so infielder in Major League Baseball, and he has lived vicariously trying to make his name as an MLBPA rep. He is 49 today, and he will be the reason why there will be I don't know if there'll be a work stoppage, but there'll be a scare of a work stoppage during this offseason because of Tony Clark. What is your walk-off for the day?
Bucks Nets at 7:30 Central tonight. I think the winner of this game, I think they'll take the series ultimately. I think if the Bucks win tonight, then the Nets are going to have their backs against the wall with probably just KD in the next game. So I think this is a must-win game for the Nets, and I think KD is going to come out and he's going to be red hot.
By the way, I missed a really good one. 63 years old today, Wade Boggs. You had to have heard of Wade Boggs, right?
I think I recognize the name.
Oh man, you got to do.
I don't know too much.
You got to read, young Squire. You got to read. You got to read your sports, man. Wade Boggs is an all-timer. He's a Hall of Famer. Played for the Red Sox and Yankees. Brett Butler, I wouldn't expect you to remember. He's also he's 65 today. Or no, I'm sorry, 64 today. He was a guy that would steal bases. But anyways, my walk-off for today is I'm gonna try to stay up to watch this Nets Bucks game. I hate the fact that they're waiting till 8:30. Like, what the hell are we waiting on? Why is
it's the only game tonight?
What are they doing? And then as far as Major League Baseball goes today, I think the big showdown is Red Sox Braves, obviously. Erod versus Tucker Davidson. That's at 7:20 Eastern tonight. And there's one other. If you're up late and you want to see a great pitching matchup, Zach Eflin and the Phillies is at Julio Urias and the Dodgers. So there you have that. All right, we will be back tomorrow with the Armchair Quarterbacks live. Sean O'Toole will be with us, and we're going to have a lot to talk about with the National Hockey League playoffs and other things. And then just a programming note reminder, we've got Braves Country today headed your way here in a little bit. We've got Take Me Out to the Ball Game, which is that little snippet that we do the big news in the world of sports, and got a lot of stuff as well as our Saturday. We're going to be doing team specific type of NFL shows as we get closer. And great job, Bobby. We will see you next Tuesday.
Thank you.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Well, it's time to go. We're back tomorrow with another show. Well, unless we're fired.
Goodbye, sweetheart. Goodbye. Goodbye.
Guys and gals, it's time to go. We'll see you on the next show.
Same bat time, same bat channel.
Thanks for listening to the Armchair Quarterbacks on these CBS Sports affiliates and catching the show on YouTube Live. We're here weekdays. Find Armchair Quarterbacks on YouTube Live today. Please subscribe and share and take us everywhere you go. The Armchair Quarterbacks, your first choice for Southern sports talk, live from the First Coast.
Gonna get another cigarette, please. Can I